What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today what I want to do is talk about WordPress 6.6. There's a lot of things coming to this version of WordPress. It's going to be released on July 16th, which is next Tuesday. So that means it's time for you to take a backup of your website. You want to make sure you download a copy of all your files, your folders, your assets. You want to make sure you have your SQL file, export that. That's for your database. And you could also download a copy of your XML file as well. You want to have all of this stuff done beforehand because in case something goes wrong, you want to be able to easily revert back to a previous version. So use your favorite backup plugin or backup method. You could either, again, use a WordPress plugin, or you could use something like FileZilla and download all of your files and folders. And then also use something like MySQL in order to take a backup with MySQL dump of your database itself. Either way is going to be fine. The key here is to make sure you have a backup of your WordPress websites. But in this video, I want to talk to you basically about what's coming in the next iteration of WordPress. There's a lot jam-packed into here. And while I'm going to do my best to cover some of the main topics, all the changes that are taking place are just too vast to cover in one video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to test the newest version of WordPress locally on your developer environment, which is always helpful because you'll be able to install your site content. Let's say your files and your folders that you have from your production sites. And with the XML file or the SQL file, you'll be able to install that, and you can see what the next version of WordPress will be like for your website in particular. And then I'm also going to show you how to use the WordPress Playground, which is a relatively new feature that gives you the ability to test out WordPress in your browser without having to set up a developer environment. But again, there's going to be a whole lot of new things in WordPress 6.6. So since I won't be able to cover everything in this video, what I'll do is I'll leave a link to some of the best resources you should check out in the description area. All right, so let's take a look at the WordPress 6.6 RC3 article over here. This is from the WordPress.org news site itself. This one's going over some basic information, letting you know that this is a release candidate. It's not made for production websites. It's only for testing locally. So it gives you some basic information. Again, same info right there. And right here, it tells you how to get started with it. Obviously, you could use the WordPress Beta Tester Plugin, which is something I've done here multiple times. And I'm going to do it here again. You also have the opportunity to do a direct download, or you can use the command line in order to update to the latest 6.6 RC3 version, or you could use the WordPress Playground. And then it gives you some more information towards the bottom, some more resources. Definitely check those out. Now, this is very quick. This is only a 3-minute read over here. It's not much. You can check out the field guide also. That'll give you some more information as well, and release notes. But there's another resource I want to introduce you to, and it's the source of truth. So I'm going to go right here. This is from the nomad.blog website, and I'll leave a link in the description area. But this is the WordPress 6.6 source of truth. I'm using the speed reader here in the Brave browser. But this is a deep dive. As you can see, this is a 30-minute long read. So definitely sit back, get comfortable, and you might want to take down some notes when it comes to this. But if you take a look at it, it's basically the source of truth, and it provides you with very detailed information on what's taking place, what the changelog is, what new features are going to be integrated, rollbacks for plugin auto updates. And it talks about the enhancements. It talks about the new grid layout support and the enhancements to that. And then the author, Anne, she has a special note over here talking about the fact that she's expecting the most feedback around the new pattern management to classic themes, and also the unified publish flow. So then she has the table of contents over here. You can see it's a very detailed, long article, and it covers basically everything. But then over here, this is really cool. She provides a link to all the assets used for this. So that would be here. So basically, you can take a look at the advanced data view. She has some MP4 files and some MOV files over here. And we're going to take a look at some of these. But it's good because it gives you the opportunity to see what the changes are going to actually be. And the author of this article is Anne McCarthy. So Anne works for Automattic, which is the company behind WordPress itself, the WordPress software. And she has a whole bunch of videos on her channel, all dedicated to keeping people up to date with all the latest changes with WordPress. So definitely check out her channel. It's a really good resource. And recently we had a conference call where she united WordPress YouTubers from basically all over the world. And we had a nice conversation. It was about an hour long. and that's this video right here. So that's pretty cool. And you can see she has exploring WordPress 6.6 features, negative margins, grid block, things of that nature. But now what I want to do is I want to have some fun. I want to install WordPress locally on my system. Mind you, I have my server already running over here. So I'm going into VS Code, and right here I have a script that's going to be streamlining the whole entire process of installing WordPress locally with a bunch of default settings. Now, I created an hour-long video on how to use wp-cli, how to set it up on Mac OS, and how to use it on Windows as well. Definitely check that out. It's a deep dive video. And then I have a shorter video also that goes over some of the main points. But taking a look at this file right here, this is basically for developers, but if you want to be able to set up WordPress very quickly with cleaning up the site itself, installing everything you want with your demo content, this is a great opportunity. If you download an XML file from your production site, you can use that here. Basically what I did is I have a shell file in a bin folder in my htdocs folder. I create my variables, database name, user, password, host, etc. Right? This is going to be the path for my XML file. And then I'm going to be downloading WordPress core. I'm going to create the config file. I'm going to set debugging to true, create the database, install WordPress using the variables that are up here. I'm going to delete the default plugins that come with WordPress. I'll install some plugins here. Now, this is a very watered down list of plugins that I'll install for this development video. If you notice in my other videos, I have a whole lot more plugins that I do install, but there's no need for them for this video itself. And then I'll activate the plugins. I'll delete the default post using these commands. I'll create some users. I'll import the theme unit test data. And then I'll make sure everything is going to run successfully. And as long as everything ran well, it'll echo out via the command line, WordPress installed successfully. All right, so let me open up my command line and I'll type out install. Now that is the name of this file right here. I hit enter return. It's going to start the process of creating the directory, downloading WordPress, and then it's going to generate the config file, update the constants, create the database, installs WordPress itself, delete the plugins, install the various plugins I wanted to install, activate them, delete the various posts, create the users, start importing the actual test data from the XML file. Again, that could be the theme unit test data, or it could be the XML file that you downloaded from your website itself. So it's going to go through that process. It might take a minute because this is a very large file, but it typically takes about a minute or two in order to get everything set up. But instead of having to download WordPress, unzip it, put it into your htdocs folder, open up wp-cli, and then creating the database, and then creating the config file, and then deleting the plugins manually, then deleting the post manually, then creating the users manually, yada, yada, yada. You just literally run the command because we created the file, and then in a matter of a minute or two, everything is done for you. The power of automation. All right, so we see WordPress installed successfully. Now, if we go here, go to Tools, wp-cli, you see we have WP test. We have the 12 tables right there. All right, let's go here. Now we have WP test, the actual local development setup here as well. I'm going to log in. All right, so let's see if we have the posts. We see we have all the posts right there. We see we have the plugins, the 3 plugins that we wanted, and it deleted the other 2 default plugins as well. Now if we go here to updates, you see we're currently running version 6.5.5. If you want to get 6.6, as it mentions here, we're going to be using the bleeding edge and beta RC only stream. So let's go here to tools and beta testing. Again, bleeding edge and beta RC only right here. Then we'll save changes. Now, if we go to updates, you see we're still using 6.5.5. We can update to the newest version right here. But I'm just going to show you this right here. We'll take this, copy that. Currently, I'm in my htdocs folder, so I want to go into WP test. These are all the files and folders there. I'll paste in that command, WP core update version 6.6-RC3, and I'll hit enter return. It'll start the process of downloading from WordPress itself, and it'll update to the 6.6 version. We see we get the WordPress updated successfully. Let's go back to the browser. Let's go back here. I haven't reloaded yet, so you see we're still using 6.5.5. The second I refresh this page, it'll show the new version. And you see, it shows we're on 6.6-RC3. All Alright, so now we have it using the WordPress Beta Tester Plugin. I've shown this a couple of times before, but just wanted to make sure everybody's brought up to speed on this. And if you want to, if I didn't mention it before, if you needed to export your XML file, you would go to Tools, Export, All Content, and then click the Download Export File. Alright, so let's take a look at what's taking place here. Let's see the themes we have. The active theme is 2024. And I'm going to add a new theme also over here. I'll say 2020. I'll go to Popular, and right here, we'll install this one. Let's go to Install Plugins. I'm going to deactivate the classic editor just for now. And since we updated to the new version of WordPress, it actually did bring back in the Akismet plugin itself, but that's fine. All right, so let's take a look at the themes. We can look at Editor, and we can see what's taking place here. We have the navigation block there. We have the styles, the various styles. We have the pages, all pages, published, scheduled, drafts, pending, private, and trash. We have the templates, and we have the patterns over here as well. We have all template parts, the header, the footer, and the general. So now let me go here to the Source of Truth Google Drive folder here. Let me see what we can do. The advanced data views is one of the big things. I actually downloaded it because it does actually take a while to load. So I will just press play here. And basically this is talking about the data views itself. So it shows you what you can do. Let me fast forward a little bit. All right, so that's the advanced data views. And now the classic themes with new patterns experience. So basically they installed the 2020 theme as well. And with that one, they also get the patterns included. So that's new. So you can create new patterns. You can import patterns. You can categorize them. This is a new feature for classic themes. Then they have the edit section style and styles. You can export your bulk patterns. Let's say you go to your My Patterns. You select the patterns you want to export. And then you go to edit the items and you'll export the JSON file. Then you can set background image and styles. You go to your styles. Go to Layout, Background Image, and you can choose it from there. Then we have the unified and updated publish flow. And you have the grid demos over here as well. It shows you how you can operate with the grid. And then you have all these other videos here as well. You have the color and fonts, you have the block binding inspector, the negative margins, overrides and synced patterns creation, replace template parts, section styles, and more. Again, like I said, there's a lot taking place here. One of the biggest things is the fact that it is dropping support for PHP 7.0 and PHP 7.1. And the lowest level of PHP that it's going to be supporting is 7.2.24, I believe. But if we go here, you can click on that and it'll take you to the About page. It says, Welcome to WordPress 6.6, color palettes and font sets. We have the quick previews for pages, rollbacks for plugin auto updates, overrides. We have the accessibility improvements, performance updates, and more. You can check out the field guide and you can check out the release notes. This one I don't think is actually released yet. As of this recording, this one actually doesn't work. They're going to be adding that later on, but it gives you some basic information about what to expect here. And again, this is using the WordPress Beta Tester Plugin. So these are the noteworthy contributors, people who have been involved in creating this version of WordPress. We have Anne over here. We have the freedoms, basically what it comes with, what your rights are. Talks about privacy, which is always important, right? So this talks about privacy. And then how to get involved. But again, this is using the WordPress Beta Tester Plugin, which I definitely recommend doing because it gives you the benefit of being able to test out the next generation of WordPress with your content. You download your files, you download your folders, you download your database, either as an SQL file, or you can import it as an XML file. And then you can test it to your site. That'll give you a better opportunity to see how it interacts, especially since you might have some plugins that you purchased that may not be available on the WordPress website, and therefore you want to make sure everything works well together. The other way, if you don't want to go the route of downloading WordPress, setting up a developer environment, and things of that nature, is you can go to the playground.wordpress.net site, and this one allows you to test out the next generation of WordPress locally within your browser. That is a great tool right there. So we can go here. You can see it's using the 2024 theme. Go to dashboard. I'm going to log in, and you see we're logged into the backend on the WordPress.net site. in Playground, and we're currently using WordPress 6.5. I can click here and I can choose the 6.6 RC3 version and apply changes. And it's gonna install that, set it up, and then I can test it out right here within the browser. That's really cool. Again, it's a simplified way to get familiar with how it works. If you're not really familiar with WordPress, you can play around with it here. You don't have to worry about messing up your production site. Guess I have to log in again, but you see we're using 6.6. All right, so we can go to the editor and we see some of the features here. It's gonna be popping up in a second. We have the navigation, we have styles, we have pages, we have the templates. Again, you can check those off. 2024 templates. You have the patterns. You can play around with this version of WordPress right here. Now, which one's better to do? Is it better to use the Playground or is it better to use your developer environment? I'm a developer. I like using a developer environment, but I can tell you that having this available in the browser is a phenomenal way to get familiar with how to create and work with WordPress itself without having to set up anything locally. This is also in my browser, but it's set up locally. You can see the difference in the URL right there. So we go here, go to editor, again, using the same theme. Let's see. And if I want to switch the themes, let me go here. Let me activate the 2020 theme. And you see we have the patterns right there. So like I mentioned, there's a lot of stuff taking place with WordPress 6.6. I just wanted to provide you some information on what's new. We're talking about the fact that they have quick previews for pages, the rollbacks for plugin and auto updates, the overrides, the performance updates, accessibility improvements. We have the data views. We have the new grid aspects of it. We have the fact that PHP 7.0 and 7.1 are no longer going to be supported. So you definitely want to make sure you have the latest version of WordPress. You have pattern management within the classic editor or the classic themes, which is huge. And there's a lot to cover. That's why I definitely recommend, if you want to get more familiar with this, with 6.6, definitely check out this article. It provides a lot of detailed information on what to expect with the next version of WordPress. And besides subscribing to my channel, because I could definitely use your support, definitely check out McCarthy's channel as well. She provides a lot of good information and she has more videos that are very specific on different aspects of what's coming next. And you can check out some of these other videos here from the Google Drive itself. This goes over some of the key points and key updates that will be taking place, so you can see it side by side. Again, this video is basically how to get ready to test your site and how to test your configuration and test your themes and plugins locally or via the Playground that WordPress is providing. This is very important to do because, again, WordPress 6.6 is going to be released on July 16th. That's not even a week away. That means this weekend you got to back up your database, take a copy of your SQL file, export an XML file, make sure you have all your files and folders and all your assets. Use FileZilla or use your favorite WordPress backup plugin. You want to always take a backup, especially before an update. Now, mind you, most of the updates recently have been very stable. There hasn't been issues with updating from one version to the next. They've really streamlined that process and made it a lot smoother. And now with the implementation of having the roll back the auto updates from plugins, if it fails, that's definitely going to be beneficial. But just get ready for it. It's right around the corner. This is just some basic information. I'm going to personally dive into the code. I'm going to play around with it for a while. I'm going to see what changes it makes and how it impacts my site and the sites that I manage. And I'm going to play around with them in terms of using classic themes, block themes, hybrid themes, and see how I can implement them into Dev WP. If you want to be a WordPress developer, if you want to create a custom theme for yourself that you could sell on your website, or if you want to set it up to be downloaded on WordPress.org. Definitely check out my series of videos on how to create a custom WordPress theme. I show you step by step everything you have to do in order to create a custom theme. It's a very advanced workflow. I have one video, it's over 5.5 hours long, and I'm releasing a steady flow of new videos, smaller in size, that focus on various aspects of theme development. So definitely check those out. Again, WordPress 6.6 right around the corner. Make sure you back up everything before the update takes place. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification icon, and I will catch you in the next video. Happy coding and happy blogging.